Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be ranking all of the Smashing Pumpkins records. Starting off with Gish, when I listened to this album, I liked it, but I felt like the band was still finding their sound. The song structures were a bit more on the hard rock side, and I feel like a lot of them kind of sounded the same. A lot of them had these sort of long guitar solos that would have kind of verse-chorus guitar solo. Kind of got a little old after a while. By no means do I think it's bad. I think the first 4 tracks of I Am One, Siva, Rhinoceros, and Bury Me are really solid. Crush is one of the few songs I didn't like on this record, the other two being Tristessa and Windowpane. But I really love Daydream. It's a weird sort of track all the way tucked in at the all the way back that has the bass player of the band's voice over it instead of Billy Corgan's, which is a welcome change because on this record I felt like his vocal style wasn't exactly fleshed out. Overall, I liked 7 out of the 10 tracks, which makes it a 7 out of 10. The next one is Siamese Dream. This is when I feel like the band really came into their sound. Songs like Cherub Rock and Quiet show off a similarity to the last album, but they're just so much better and have much more memorable riffs this time around.
The song Today is one of the worst tracks I've ever heard in my entire life, which actually kind of brings down the record. I'm only joking. It's just I've heard it so many times that it's kind of gone down.
Hummer is another great track, along with Geek USA and Mayonnaise being some of the best songs on the record. I really like the closer, Luna. It's nice and sweet and a welcome break from all the other harder songs on this record. I feel like this album did have a couple more tracks that I wasn't a huge fan of, like Rocket and Soma, as well as Sweet Sweet and Spaceboy. So I'm going to rank this album at a 7.5. Still really solid, and I come back to the great tracks more than I do on Gish. Pisces is Carrot. I always read it as Pieces and Carrots. This is my first Smashing Pumpkins record that I ever got, so I cherish it for that. It's weird because it's one that nobody ever really talks about. I mean, when I looked up a Pitchfork article for it, they gave it an 8 out of 10, so I suppose that the common consensus is that people do like it. But I've always thought that it's just a shitty B-sides record that no one likes. But I really liked it, because I'd play it over and over again. I really love every track on this thing. My favorites are Blew Away, Landslide, Starlight, and Whirl. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think the best way for me to talk about Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is to talk about the songs I don't like first. Cupid, Deloc, Muzzle, and The Tales of a Scorched Earth are the only tracks I don't like. Everything else is really good. XYU is one of my favorites, as well as more somber cuts like Arms of Sleep and Stumbleline, Porcelina of the Vast Ocean, and to point out the obvious, Tonight Tonight, Zero, Jelly Belly, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, An Ode to No One, and 1979 are also really good tracks. This gets a 9 out of 10 for me. The next album is Adore. I really like Tashila, Ava Adore, and especially Perfect. And even after this, I love the songs Once Upon a Time. With its swung feeling, it's a bit long, but not all that bad. But I can't say the same for Crestfallen, which is just a little bit derivative, and The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. Honestly, this album is not all that bad. I do think that it starts to drag a bit on the B-side. Overall, I think this album is a 6 out of 10. Listen to Side A for sure. Now we start off with the bad Smashing Pumpkins records. Machina, or The Machines of God. The Everlasting Gaze is a fine opener, but it's very dated. So is pretty much the whole album. Overcompressed and loud. Raindrops plus Sun Showers, for as cool as the name is a very bad song, just very boring to me, and the vocal effects on songs like I, The Morning, are just honestly, like, annoying and tinny. I think Pitchfork sums it up best by ending their review with this quote, reheated new wave pop and fluff metal that sparks under microwaves, Corgan whines through his wax paper septum. Overall, I feel like this record is supposed to be going back to what they used to sound like, but it just sounds derivative and very nu metal-y in its production, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. It feels like an over-expensive synthesizer being played over demo tracks, is what it feels like. The next record is Oceania, at least on Spotify. I know that they came out with the record in 2007. Honestly, I don't think anyone's clamoring for me to talk about it, but Oceania, honestly, Quasar is not a bad way to start the record. I think it's at least interesting, to say the least, and the production, while still kind of overblown, is not as bad as it was on the last record. Honestly, I feel like Corgan's voice on this is kind of weak. Like, a lot of the songs really did need a couple of takes. My Love is Winter is not all that bad, and the title track Oceania is kind of a medley of sorts, and I kind of like it. I like the last part of it. It's about 9 minutes long, so it's a little bit of a drag. My favorite tracks on here are The Chimera. It's crazy how one good riff could do to one good song. And you know what? Glyceranda and Inglis are also not bad too. Overall, this album is better than the last one, which I forgot to mention, a 4 out of 10. But this one gets a 5 out of 10. Moments to an Elegy. Being Beige was the first song in a while that I saw that had over 2 million plays on Spotify, so I checked it out and the rest of the record. And yeah, it was alright. I can see why people like it, but personally the lyrics are really annoying to me. One and All is also fine, but I feel like that's all I can say about these later Pumpkins records. It's just okay. And finally, I'm going to combine the last two records because they're pretty similar. Shiny and Oh So Bright Volume 1 LP, No Past, No Future, No Sun, and Sear. Yeah, I didn't really like this one. Honestly, I don't have much to say about it. Even the most single-worthy songs on here are not all that memorable, and honestly, I'm just gonna toss Sear in here again as well, because I only listened to half of it, and my impression of it was just, These later Pumpkins records really suffer from unoriginality and just really overblown production. I feel like the earlier records had a lot more character to them. These do not really. That's going to wrap it up with my video. This is Smashing Pumpkins Ranked. I'll put my rankings right here. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.